Disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by Wooting, nor was this keyboard sent over for free from Wooting. I paid for my own keyboard and I just asked them to send it over early during the reviewer's time frame. If you don't believe me, this is a receipt for my keyboard that I bought. This is my address, my 16-digit credit card number. Birth date. So yeah, this video is not sponsored by Wooting at all. It's my own opinions, I paid for my own keyboard. But now that the disclaimer is out of the way, oh, yes, they left the little heart shape. Warning tabs, envelope. Oh, Wooting postcard and stickers. I'm gonna send this to my grandma. Ooh. So this is the Wooting 60HE V2 in silver, aluminium. Oh, got a new tag. It's in white and yellow now. New cable color, USB-C to USB-C, and then they gave this adapter. And a Wooting goodie bag. Extra screws, extra switches, extra handle. There's the handle on the side here, this handle. Oh yeah, and this tool. And that's the Wooting 60HE V2 unboxing. So this is the Wooting 60HE V2, the successor to what I called the king of gaming keyboards back 3 years ago. And a lot of things has changed in the past 3 years. We have dirt cheap Hall-effect keyboards now coming out at half or even a quarter price of the Wooting and has even better specs than the original 60HE. So how does this new Wooting 60HE V2 hold up to the competition? Well, I had my fair share of gaming with this keyboard for the past 2 days. Yes, it's only been 2 days because, you know, we didn't get a big headroom for when this keyboard was releasing. But what I can say about this new keyboard is that it's kind of boring, in a good way. Alright, hear me out. Let's first start with the changes that were made to the 60HE lineup. 8000Hz polling rate. The V2 now comes with 8000Hz polling rate, which is a great step up from the 1000Hz that we got on the original 60HE. Not that it's really noticeable because, you know, 99% of the gamers don't experience that 8000Hz polling rate unless you're the pro gamer. It can also come with an aluminium case too, which is the one I bought. This case will run you an extra $60 US, which honestly you can just buy a TMR keyboard with that $60. An FR4 plate. So the old keyboard came with a PC plate and this new one comes with an FR4 plate. It is my favorite material for plates, you know, it gives you that nicer sound. It does also come with a new layout, if you choose to go for the new layout. The V2 actually comes with a split spacebar option, giving you 2 additional keys. I personally didn't buy that set because I don't think I need the extra spacebar. I do also hit the center of my spacebar a bit more often than usual, so I don't want to accidentally hit another key. And also according to their website, which is pretty cool, 81% of people agree with what I think. Like, you know, a full spacebar is definitely better. But you know, the option is there. Friction mounting. As compared to the V1, which was screwed into the case, the V2 is actually mounted with silicone gasket to the side of the keyboard case, so there's actually no screws involved. They provide this new tool, which is actually pretty cool. It's like a small little key. If you take off the alternate key, you can actually find a hole where this key fits into. And pulling to the side of that actually yanks out the entire PCB assembly, which is pretty cool because there's no screws involved. Could they have gone with like a, I don't know, ball catch mount where you just like quick release the entire case? Yes, but this is also cool. It's a huge improvement for those people who care about modding this keyboard, which I definitely do. And for those of you who have the V1 and actually modded the case to like a custom case, those cases also work with this PCB. You just have to remove the gasket and it will work like any other PCB. Biggest improvement so far, new switches. The V2 comes with the lacquer thickened switches, which compared to the V1s have a huge sound improvement. That's because they plug the hole at the back of the switch. These new switches are closed back switches. Compared to the lacquer V1 switches, they have an open back design. Closing the hole at the back of Hall-effect switches have drastically improved their sound, as evident with all the other switches. Other than that, they also made the top half of the switch translucent, but the switches are made of the same material. Here's a sound comparison of the V2 versus the V1, and also the V2 with the V1 switches in it. Cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the new features of this keyboard. Now, time for the bads of this keyboard. Surprisingly, there's not much bad things about this keyboard. The stabilizers are still ass. They have changed them to screw-in stabilizers, but they are still really rattly, so... Oh, little cute birds. The FR4 plate, as much as I like it, it does scratch really easily. But other than that, I do have one flaw of this keyboard that I don't really like. And that flaw would be the switches. Disclaimer, I am launching my own set of switches really soon, and this whole part is not just to dump on Wooting switches so that I can promote mine. I actually do really like their switch and how it sounds, and I think they're pretty good stock switches that come with the keyboard. But let me show you the problem with them. So there is a small design flaw with the thickened switches, and that's the lens that they decided to fit at the top of the housing without structural support. And without this support, this sometimes leads to you accidentally yanking out the lens instead of the switch. And the small plastic piece that you do yank out is actually really flimsy. So pulling that out alone will cause it to break. I was filming a vertical video for Wooting because I wanted to show them this problem and accidentally broke one of my switches.
Oh shit.
What they recommended was to put the lens back in and then yank out the entire thing. And after I tried that, I actually had no problems with yanking out all the switches on the keyboard. But you do have to exert quite a bit of pinching force to pinch the entire switch out. And funny enough, this was actually not a problem with the original Wooting lacquer switches. And that's because they don't actually have a lens, instead a reinforced piece of plastic at that place. And this problem actually persists in the Xeon Raws and also the Owlab TI switches. They all have this same lens reinforcement problem. Okay, let me toot my own horn for a little bit. The switch I'm about to release actually has no problems with that because there's a reinforced piece of plastic. But it is a really small problem, and I realized like for most people who don't actually mod their keyboard, this wouldn't even be a problem. So yeah, no, it's just a small thing. My conclusion on this keyboard is that it's still pretty boring. Why I say it's boring, it's because it's clear that Wooting is doing a small iteration on their 60HE lineup. The Wooting 60HE V1 was a game changer when it first launched. It revolutionized the gaming scene because there was nothing like it. There was nothing of its kind. And it had an amazing user experience to match it. But 3 years since the original release of that keyboard, and we get a keyboard that feels like it's playing catch-up. There's nothing really new about this keyboard other than the gasket mount that we haven't seen in other Hall effect keyboards at maybe even half the price. And not only that, if you already have the original Wooting 60HE, you kind of just need to change the switches and it will sound almost as good as the V2. And you basically have the 60HE V2 experience with less polling rate. But the silver lining about this keyboard is that if you've already been looking at the 60HE V1, the 60HE V2 is actually only priced $5 more than the 60HE V1 at MSRP. And with the upgraded switches and the polling rate, I say it's actually a pretty good deal. But if you already own the 60HE V1, this keyboard is not a necessary upgrade. Although as of filming this video, the 60HE V1 is on Black Friday sale at $155 US. So are the new switches and the polling rate actually worth the $25 more that you'll spend on this one? Honestly, yeah, I'd say so. It's a lot more worth it, and I'm glad Wooting didn't actually price this a lot higher. You can also get aftermarket aluminium cases that are only like 20 bucks. I got this for $20 US. Even came in foam. But other than that, you can actually just stick with the V1. And you can also get new switches like my switches, which we'll be releasing in... But yeah, thanks for watching this video. See ya.